أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير، الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور، الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير، ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير، وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور وكادوا تميزوا من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألوا خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير؟ قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير، فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبهم وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسفوا بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير. ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير. ألم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير. أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور. أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم من أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور. أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم. قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون. قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذي كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين صدق الله العظيم.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وعجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وأن علي ولي الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. حي على خير عمل حي على خير عمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا. الله أكبر. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله والحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك، لا إله إلا أنت، نستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم المغضوب عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. إياك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وأن عليا حجة الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. فذلك الله ربنا. الله أكبر. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. أستغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع له لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع له لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم إلهي أنت كما نحب فاجعلنا كما تحب. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله والحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع الرزق وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي فأجل في طلبه البلدان فأنا فيما أنا طالب كالحيران لا أدري أفي سهل هو أم في جبل أم في أرض أم في سماء أم في بر أم في بحر وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله واجعل يا رب رزق قري واسعا ومطلبه سهلا وما أخذه قريبا ولا تؤنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا فإنك غني عن عذابي وأنا فقير إلى رحمتك. فصل على محمد وآله وجد على عبدك بفضلك إنك ذو فضل عظيم.
اللهم صل على
صلو النبی. ہائے حسین ہائے عباس زہرا کا گر ایسا لوٹا پھر نہ بسا ہائے حسین ہائے عباس. شیخ نے کہا حجت خدا کر دو ادا حق کربلا حق کربلا تیر چھیندا ان کا گلا ہائے کربلا ہائے حسین. سوکھا گلا پانی نہ ملا تیر جب لگا خون جب بہا خون جب بہا شیخ نے وہ خون چہرے پر ملا آئے حسین آئے عباس. نیزے پر چڑھا جب سر خدا آئے اشکیاں ساما لوٹا ساما لوٹا چادر چھینی خیمہ جلا ہائے حسین آئے عباس. شیکا سر ہوا تن سے جدا آندھی چلی طوفان اٹھا طوفان اٹھا گونجتی رہی زینب کی صدا آئے کربلا آئے عباس. گرزی جب لگا تیر جب چلا مشک چھیندی پانی جب بہا پانی جب بہا شانے سے ہوا بازو جدا ہائے حسین ہائے عباس. تھا جو لگا بوسا وہاں شاہ لافتہ شاہ انبیاء شاہ انبیاء اس گلے پہ بھی خنجر لگا آئے حسین آئے عباس. لرزے کربلا نیزہ जब चला दर पे खड़ी देखती माँ सीने पे जब नेज़ा लगा आए हुसैन आए अब्बास अल-फातिहा.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sayyid Hasan, Rizvi, respected elders, dearest brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum, Jami wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Surah Fatiha is requested for all marhumin listed on the screen, as well as all other marhumin. Surah Mubarak al-Fatiha. Dua Shfa Mary's is requested for all those in need here and elsewhere, as well as those listed on the screen. Let us recite together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakhshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakhshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakhshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Ya Allah, let us now invite Sayyid Hasan Rizvi to please come forward for tonight's Majlis. For Muhammad wa Muhammad Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Mu'mineen, mu'minat, brothers and sisters in Islam and Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, we commemorate the Shahada anniversary of the first Shaheed within the whole tragic episode of Karbala, who was somebody who wasn't even able to make it to Karbala himself. And when we discussed the tragic demise of Muslim ibn Aqeel, rahmatullah alayh, his maqam and his daraja, although he doesn't reach with Imam Hussein in Karbala because he's killed before that, the lessons that we can learn from him, the fada'il, the points that we can take from his tragic story is no less than from amongst the other shuhada and the companions who were there and gave their lives in Karbala itself. And in some ways, perhaps from one perspective, the lessons that took place and what we derive from Muslims' journey to Kufa and what took place there could arguably be more important than what actually took place in Karbala. Because Karbala only happens because of what happens in Kufa. Otherwise, there is no Karbala, right? And we all know the main theme, of course, is Muslim being sent and this betrayal taking place. And it's due to this betrayal that we see what then happens to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family and his companions. The key concept that I'd like to focus on for tonight is in the position and the maqam that Muslim ibn Aqeel is given. Namely, this idea of being a representative. Right? He has been assigned as a messenger, as a wakil, as a na'ib, right? He's given this ambassadorship, this deputyship. So all these concepts tie into this idea of a continuation of the concept that we hold very dear called wilaya, right? Where Allah is al-wali, the one with perfect, infinite authority. Allah then passes it down to the anbiya, the mursaleen, ending with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And then, of course, the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams, are designated after that. Right? Now, from there, that's where, of course, the issues start to develop there. This concept of representation or deputyship or ambassadorship, you see, this is where, from the beginning of time up until now, you see multiple different individuals have these issues with following this representative system of wilaya. We've talked before previously as how some have described Iblis's fall, Shaitan's mistake, as what? A mistake and an inability to recognize the new Khalifa and the new Wali. He was unable to do that, right? Allah's new Khalifa and representative, right, was chosen and he did not recognize him. He didn't recognize his new Khalifa, his new Imam, and this caused his downfall and his issue. And there's many other examples in history, but I want to focus specifically, again, from the example of Muslim ibn Aqeel, and then maybe go through some practical examples for us today, inshallah. Let's first just remind ourselves quickly. We all know the history, we hear it every Muharram, but it's good to just get a quick refresher about some of the major points about what took place in this tragic ordeal. Please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Hussein alayhi salam has now left. Right, he is moving and moving because he's dodging this idea of he's going to be assassinated. Finally, he receives these letters from the people of Kufa. Right, there's various different numbers that are given, regardless of the numbers. He's receiving these letters. The people of Kufa are pledging support. They're inviting the Imam to come. They say that, we want you to come here. We'll protect you. Bring your family. We're ready to change things now. Okay, but of course, what does Imam do? He doesn't just go on his own. He doesn't just say, okay, fine, you're calling your Imam, let me just go right away. No, he goes and he sends his ambassador. He sends and assigns a deputy, his cousin, somebody who is trustworthy, Muslim ibn Aqeel. So Muslim ibn Aqeel, and there's a whole, story about Muslim going from place to place, making his journey there. I'm skipping those details because it's not relevant for our discussion. Now, first few things to just remind ourselves about, which we've talked about in previous years, but again, it's a good refresher for us. What were these reasons? Why didn't the Imam just go himself? Because some, postulate, they're like, what, if Imam just kind of went on his own, maybe Karbala wouldn't have taken place. Imam would have gotten there. People would have risen up with the Imam and, Karbala would have never happened and who knows, right? The past would have been different, the future would have been different. Well, history has a way of repeating itself, right? A wise person knows the mistakes that are made in the past and learns from them. The Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, I know how you treated my father, I know how you treated Imam Ali, and I know how you treated my brother, Imam Hasan. I'm not just going to come and think I'm going to take you at your word, because I see what you've done. You'll say one thing and then do something else. Right? Just look at Nahjul Balagha, at how Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he's speaking about the people of Kufa, his supporters, he's like, I wish I had people like Muawiyah supporters, because you guys are not with me. You say one thing but do something else. Imam Hasan, same thing. His own commanders, his own soldiers are trying to assassinate him. Right? So they're dealing with constant betrayal themselves. So it would be a foolish move on the part of the Imam if he just went and just assumed magically now the Kufans have just changed, let me just go. No. So he says, let me make sure and let me investigate and let me send somebody. And even this idea of investigating true intentions, sincerity, resolve, things like that, even beyond that point, even from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, even when there's no fear of, let's say, treachery or anything, there's no need to investigate, even from the time of Rasulullah, pre-Hijrah, when the Aus and Khazraj, when they accept Islam, right, when Rasulullah is still in Mecca, and they said, okay, we want you to come to Medina, we want to learn Islam, you want to establish an Islamic society here now. Rasulullah doesn't just go right away either. He first sends his companion, a very close trusted person by the name of Mus'ab ibn al-Umair, sometimes referred as Mus'ab al-Khair, a very good companion who I think died in Uhud, right, because again of the treachery of the Muslims there. So Mus'ab was initially sent to Medina before Rasulullah. He went there, he taught them the basics of Islam, he taught them the Quran. Mus'ab was the first person to lead Jum'ah in Medina with I think 12 people. Right? Before Rasulullah had reached Medina, Mus'ab is the one leading Jum'ah over there. He trains the people and gets them ready. You don't just get a prophet, you don't just get an imam like that. No, you have to earn it. You have to work towards it. So Rasulullah sends somebody, Mus'ab trains them, and then Rasulullah makes his hijrah there. So this is something in the seerah as well too. Even if it's not about investigating and checking people's intentions, which was one reason, the other is that no, before Imam Hussein comes, he's like, I need to make sure that these individuals are actually ready to support me too. Maybe they have sincere intentions, but maybe militarily they're not ready. Maybe logistically things are not set up yet. So maybe one of the other reasons why Muslim ibn Aqeel is sent is to kind of set up the groundwork for Imam Hussein to then come so that there is a movement that's happening there. Let me share this riwayah from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When we think about this idea of the representation of people on behalf of the prophets and imams, usually we think of the word, na'ib or wakil, so it's niyaba, wikala. We don't normally think of the word khalifa, right? But over here in this hadith, Rasulullah actually describes those who carry on the message as khulafa. So in this hadith, he says, Allahumma arham khulafa'i. Allah, may Allah's mercy be on my khulafa. This is the way Rasulullah is describing people. So he says it 3 times, thalatha. He says, Allahumma arham khulafa'i, Allahumma arham khulafa'i, Allahumma arham khulafa'i. May Allah's mercy be on my khulafa. So the people ask, Ya Rasulullah, وَمَنْ khulafa'ik? Like, who are your khulafa? Like, who are these people? Rasulullah responds, الَّذِينَ يَبْلَغُونَ حَدِيثِي وَسُنَّتِي. The ones who learn and educate themselves in my hadith, in my sayings, and my sunnah. The ones who learn my way. ثُمَّ يُعَلِّمُونَهَا أُمَّتِي. And then they go and do ta'aleem and ta'allum, and they go and they teach my ummah. So he's describing, even from back then, the class of the fuqaha, the ulama, those who are truly learning the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, or at that time Rasulullah. These are the ones who are described as the khulafa of Rasulullah. And we know this very well from the hadith of the Imam, but I want to show you too that this was even in the words of Rasulullah from that time as well. Now, this was just a background and a reminder about the reasons for why the Imam is sending Muslim ibn Aqeel. Okay, what about the betrayal? Right, we've, I think, previously discussed that too. I want to quickly remind us about that as well. We'll go through maybe just 2 reasons for why the people of Kufa were unable to actually live up to their word. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The first and most obvious one, the reason that is probably most discussed from the minbar and in speeches, is the blame gets put on Ibn Ziyad, la'anatullah alayh. And rightfully so, right? He used a multitude of different tactics, right? Some were not so extreme, where he would go and he would bribe certain people, certain groups, certain chieftains and elders and things like that. He'd bribe them and say, look, just stay out of this, or support me, whatever. Just toss them some money and there's fine. Sometimes he would coerce them, offer them power, or offer them land, things like that. Sometimes, of course, as we know very well, he threatened individuals too. Said, either you support me or stay neutral, or I'll murder you and your family. He did this many times. He put many of the famous companions in jail, right? That's why many say, like, we have these many famous companions. They say, how come they weren't with Imam Hussein in Karbala? Well, many of them were in jail. Ibn Ziyad knew that these were some of the strongest supporters of the Ahlul Bayt, so he put them in jail preemptively, right? So that's one of the reasons. One of the other reasons that's mentioned in our history books too, or one of the other tactics of Ibn Ziyad, is he actually guilt-shamed the people of Kufa and used the elders amongst the Kufans. He took the seniors, the elders, or what do we call them, the jewels, right? He took the jewels, he told them, he said, go on top of the palace and then start speaking to the people. And when the elders speak, people listen, right? They had respect. And then when the elders were saying these things, the people of Kufa said, how can we go against our seniors and our elders? We have to be careful. Not everybody is a real jewel, right? Sometimes it's fool's gold. You have to be careful with that. So these are the tactics Ibn Ziyad used. Now, this is one thing that we've heard many times. But there's the other one, which we did discuss last year, but I want to remind us, and this is the point that I want to focus on. And this had to do with the internal issues of the Shias, the so-called Shias themselves. The Shias, when Muslim ibn Aqeel comes, right, they expected Imam Hussein to come. They sent their letters, right, the scholars, the people there, the ones who were supportive of the Ahlul Bayt, they gathered together, they wrote letters, they signed them, they sent it over. They're expecting the Imam to come back. It's like, okay, the Imam should come now and lead us. Instead, what happens is, they see this other guy, Muslim ibn Aqeel. They're like, oh, what's this guy doing here? And some of them, the doubts start creeping in their mind. Say, hold on a second, are we not good enough for the Imam? Who is this guy? Why wouldn't I be assigned as a representative of Kufa? Why is somebody else here leading the movement here? So all that, the egotistical stuff starts to come in and develop. Some of them just reject Muslim outright. They say, look, we're not saying you're a bad person, Muslim. We're not denying that you've been sent as a wakil, but we're just going to be neutral until our actual Imam comes here. We're not going to, go any direction. When our Imam comes, then fine, we'll figure out what to do. We'll start doing something else. Yes, there were many Shias. One Muslim was there. They gave their bay'ah. They met with him. They planned. They did all that stuff, right? Although at the end, of course, we know that all of them betrayed Muslim anyway. But at least initially, some of them did. But there was a large group of individuals, some who claimed to be scholars as well too, who said, no, we call our Imam. I want my Imam. I don't want you. They said, I'm the head faqih, I'm the head scholar in Kufa. How are you going to send some other random guy from Makkah or Medina to come and lead us? We're from here. We know better. We're the people of Kufa. We should know what's going on over here. Right? So the ego crept into them very, very quickly, and this is what infected them. And, sometimes we still have this idea. There's this extreme group amongst the Shias who pretty much refuse to do anything unless the 12th Imam literally comes to them and tells them that something happens. They say, I don't do taqleed. You don't do taqleed? Like, no, I only follow the Imam of the time. Like, what does that even mean? There's no rules you follow at all unless the Imam of the time comes and tells you? Like, do you have some direct access? Where's this coming from? But, there's this foolish group that they think like this. They think that they're holier than thou, that this system of wilayah, they don't know their history, obviously, that no, this was set up from the time of Rasulullah and continued in the time of the Imams. But of course, because they don't know their history, and they think that a true Shia only follows the Imam, they miss out on these things. Whereas if they had studied their history, you see that most of these divisions amongst the Shias were those who refused to follow the actual representatives of the Imams. That's usually where these issues started to happen. We've talked previously about how even if you break down the Imams into categories, right, into 3 groups, first 4 Imams, next 4, last 4. The last 4 Imams, pretty much from the 8th onto the 12th, you see that the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams, focus their efforts in a strong way of training the Shias to get used to going to their representatives, not directly to the Imam. And sometimes when people would go and meet the 8th or the 9th or the 10th or the 11th Imam, and they'd ask questions or they'd write letters, the Imams would reply back, why are you writing to us? Why are you coming all this way to meet us? So-and-so faqih, so-and-so, one of ours is in Basra, is in Kufa, is in this area. Why did you come all the way here? They're our representative. They can give you a fatwa. They can collect the khums and zakat on our behalf. Why are you doing all of this? Right? So some people, they jumped like that. And they thought I'll just go straight to the source. Like, no, that's not how it is. The source had told you to follow this. Right? So people are jumping this thing, thinking that this is what the Imams want, but in fact, they're actually skipping and going through the system that the Imams have actually recommended. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. So, this was one of the other reasons where some people, just from the beginning, not at the end of Muslims' mission, in the beginning, they just outright refused him. They said, no, we're not going to do anything. So no matter what happened there, they said, look, I know that Muslim has been captured, this and that. I know things are getting bad in Kufa, but I'm waiting for my Imam to get here. I wrote a letter, I called him. When he comes, then I'll do it. And that's it. Now, there's a lot of different lessons and reflections we can take from that story. There's just 1 or 2 points that I'd like to focus on. If there's a, let's say, top 5 list of questions that every Shia asks, right, especially like Q&A discussions that happen, or anytime an alim comes, what do they ask? I'd say not just top 5, probably out of the top 3, one of the most asked questions over and over again is, how do we prepare for the Imam's arrival? How do we get ready for the Imam of the time? What do we do? What's my duty to the 12th Imam? How do I get ready for the Dhuhr, his reappearance? What's my duty? What's my responsibility? Right? You see people, there are camps dedicated to this topic. People have whole lecture series dedicated to this topic. Like, what do we do to prepare? I want to get ready for the Imam, which is coming from a good place, obviously, right? And now, especially given the situation that's happening around the world, where people are seeing how in certain areas in the Middle East, things are flaring up, they're firing up. In some senses, it's getting better, some senses, it's getting worse. So many people that maybe they thought about their connection to the Imam before, now more than ever, they're like, okay, it seems like the Imam's Dhuhr is around the corner based on what we're seeing right now. I need to stop playing games. I need to figure out, what do I do for my Imam? Because it's looking like it's going to happen any day now, which I don't want to address that point. Let's assume that that's the case. Okay. What happens here, and again, we're taking from this previous point that we discussed, is that a lot of us end up focusing on this idea of the capital I Imam, meaning Imam of the time, one of the Ma'sumin. We focus on that so much that we forget about the idea of the lowercase I Imam. We focus so much on the capital I, we forget the lowercase I. We do use the word Imam for other things too, right? I know some people think that, no, Imam is a word only used for the 12 Imams. Like, no, that's not correct. Right? Somebody who leads namaz is called an Imam, right? We can use the word in many different ways. It just means somebody who's in front, a leader, that's it. And there's many different ways in which, by looking towards just the 12th Imam, we miss that sort of process and that system of walai in between. So let me give some examples, if you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Something simple like in legal issues, right? In fiqh, in ahkam. And I don't just mean like following a marja, which I think the vast majority of you do, so that's not an issue here. Like I said, even somebody that we allow to go forward and lead salah is a lowercase I imam, right? We can use that word, imam al-jum'ah, right? That's fine. But there are still instances that I've seen where we may not actually know or be well versed enough in our ahkam to know that the person that we're allowing to go forward actually is not qualified to do so. And it could be something as simple as a person just not reciting properly, right? Sometimes you have people who their makhraj is incorrect, right? Rather than reciting in proper Arabic, they're either because of, let's say, Urdu or Farsi or whatever other mother tongue that they have, they're incorrectly pronouncing words in Arabic, right? So instead of alladhina, allazina. Instead of kawthar, they say kawsar, right? Things like this. They're unable to distinguish between a qaf and a kaf, right? These are things which are required in Arabic pronunciation, right? An ayn and a hamza or alif, they can't sound the same, right? The rules of our fuqaha are very clear that when somebody's leading salah, even when we're reciting it ourselves, but obviously if we're going to put somebody forward to lead for us, the idea is that hopefully they should have more qualifications than me, right? They should be better suited, or at least equal. Well, if the person that's going forward, or we're allowing to go forward, we're pushing forward, can't distinguish between these sounds, or they can't make these sounds, then that's an issue. Now, some people know that fact and some people don't. I've been in certain communities where they know this fact, actually. They allow certain individuals to go forward and they don't meet the qualifications, right? Because they can't recite properly. And that's okay, we're not judging those individuals. But the question is, okay, so as a community, this individual has been leading your salah for like 10, 20, usually, again, it's one of the jewels, right? So you put the jewel forward and the jewel's reciting for like 10, 20, 30, 40 years for you, and they've been doing it incorrectly this whole time, and none of you have said a word? Oh, we feel bad. You feel bad? It's coming from a good place. Obviously, it's tough to tell somebody, you can't say, uncle, you're not saying it properly, don't lead salah. Yeah, you have to have the proper akhlaq, a proper way of doing so. And khair, I don't want to give too much away. One of these communities, it was brought to this person's attention, but it was done indirectly. There was an alim that was visiting, right? Reciting for one of these occasions, Ramadan, Muharram, something like that. And so the board, or the MC, whatever it was, they had told the jewel, they said, okay, there's a visiting alim, well, we're requesting that alim lead instead. This jewel turned into a diamond in the rough real fast, right? And got vicious and said, I don't know. I don't want to go into the details, right, just in case. But when I heard this story, I was very, very upset. I was very shocked that somebody would develop such an ego, right, like this. And because of the person's complaint, the alim didn't want to, what the alim told me, like they didn't want to make an issue out of it. They said, look, just let this jewel go ahead and lead because it's going to make a bigger issue for the community, right? But they said, look, we're not trying to cause a fitna for just one little simple issue as leading salah. But obviously that alim, because people kept asking that alim too, like, okay, but are you reading furada behind this person? Like, yeah, of course I am, right? So this is what happened over there. So, it seems like a small issue. But imagine that a community has been continuing for something very simple. Everybody's trying to gather together to recite salah, and the basic ahkam is not being followed. So if we can't even figure out who can lead in the basic fiqh issues, how are we going to be able to actually identify the actual capital I imam? All right? I'm sure many of you have seen this video that came out a long time ago about Imam Mehdi, right? You guys saw somebody come on Peace TV and introduce himself like that. If you don't know about it, you can go watch it. There are numerous occasions not over here, but in other countries, in Iraq, in Iran, people come out and claim to be the Mahdi a lot. It's actually really strange. Almost every month there's a new Mahdi. And sometimes, you and I might look at these stories and laugh, how can these people follow people like that? After the U.S. invasion and occupation, somebody else came out and claimed that they were the Mahdi. And then what they do, I think they went and attacked Masjid al-Kufa or something like that. Right? They got an army together and they went and attacked Masjid al-Kufa. Can you imagine that there are people in Iraq, some random person said, I'm the Mahdi, armed everybody, and they went to attack Masjid al-Kufa. This is what happens to some Shia sometimes. They just don't know any better. They don't know the basic qualifications, and this is how it ends up. So this is just in the legal side of it. There's some other points as well, after salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So probably more important than the legal aspect is about taking information, right? All of us want to make sure that my line of thinking, my aqidah, my Islamic framework, my philosophy, I want it to be the same thing that was brought down by Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt. Obviously, we all want that. Now, one would imagine that those who are continuing on that tradition, who have studied the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt, who are trying to get to understand what is the proper Islamic aqidah and aqaid and philosophy and all of this, they may be the ones, the ulama, the fuqaha, the urafa, etc. They're probably the ones who are best set, having studied this, to determine what is a proper Islamic framework, what to do in XYZ situation. Nowadays, you don't see that that's the case. Whether it's young people, sending me videos like, okay, I saw this thing on TikTok. Some random person, oh, they said this, is this correct or not? I've been following this person for a while. I'm like, well, who is this person? Who is this random individual? Oh, I don't know, I just follow them. Because they're getting, millions and millions of views. Well, it's in any other point in life, we would go to somebody who, a doctor, if you have a degree or not, right? But there's this new trend that, okay, as long as somebody has good oratory skill, as long as they're famous, as long as they're charming, all these other random qualities that are there, if I can vibe with them, if I can connect with them, if they're good with youth, all these other factors, then I should probably listen to them. Okay, do they actually know what they're talking about, right? It has nothing to do with their qualifications. So sometimes people, unfortunately, their framework is coming from a source which is un-Islamic. It's non-Islamic. And these individuals, again, maybe they have the right intention. Not everyone does. But some of these individuals, they are specifically putting information and doubts in the minds of Muslims, especially the Shias, and taking them away from our established teachings, right, on purpose. Right? Again, the conspiracies, we've talked about that before, so I'm not going to go into that again. One more point. The last one is, besides the actual legal stuff, besides the taking of information, the one way where sometimes we miss the picture is there are some people who I think they give value to ulama. We know we understand the value of Islamic scholars. We want to take information from them, right? We want to follow them in ahkam, all that stuff. Okay, good. But the areas where they take the information is so greatly reduced, it's almost worthless. Let me share an example. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. One of these days, it's a majlis, I can't do it tonight. I want to put up a survey. I want to ask you guys and see, what do you think are the actual questions that I get? Just by the little snicker, imagine the types of questions that I get. Do you think I get questions about Islamic philosophy? what's the nature of free will and predestination? Well, some people ask about that. Some people will come and say, hey, I want to make sure that my salah or my Quranic recitation is okay, so they'll ask. Many people will ask, hey, I just want to double check this fiqh issue, right? I heard about this. Can you just let me know if that's correct or not? So I get some of that. But the vast majority of messages probably are three different things. Number one is istikhara, right? That's like probably at the top. And it's not for, I would say, crucial matters. Some people, the way that they ask for, I can't give examples, obviously, but sometimes the things that they ask for istikhara, I'm just kind of shocked, right? Like, this is what you're doing istikhara for? Like, this is what's troubling you so much? It's like a life-changing decision, right? Like, oh, should I go on vacation to the Bahamas? Can you do istikhara for me? I'm like, that's what your istikhara's for? Okay, fine. That's one. And then, of course, what do you actually think is the top of the list? Sons. Yes. This has been 4.5+ years, almost every single week. First, it's what? Can we eat from Baha'is? Can we eat from Hindus? What if they're non-practicing? What if, I saw them in the background, I saw them in the back and they were cooking and I saw them sweat, but I don't know where that sweat dropped. I don't know what was happening. What do I do there? Is Dave's okay? Oh man, Dave's thing was crazy for a while. And now what do you think it is? Everybody, how many messages I'm getting about Chick-fil-A? Look, I wish I could exaggerate this. I'm not exaggerating. Today I got one, yesterday I got one, the day before I got, every single day there's at least 2-3 messages that are coming. Sayyid, please, save us. We're in need of your wisdom. Like, if you want me to be your divine food inspector, fine. I guess I'll have to go and do that, inshallah, after, this Eid season is kind of finished and all these programs are finished, but that's it. I have no problem. When I get time, inshallah, I'll go and I'll do the research, and then inshallah, I'll share the inspiration and divine revelation that I get about that, right? And look, it's a good thing on one hand. The fact that individuals who have never once spoken to me in the 4+ years that I've been here, right? Never messaged me, never talked to me. I don't think they've even showed up at the center once. They're messaging me and asking me, right? Okay, is it okay or not? In one sense, it's good, right? Because they want to eat halal food. Okay, thank God. Alhamdulillah, you want to eat halal food. That's a wonderful thing. It's also a little disconcerting and a little disappointing that is the peak of what people want to do with Islamic information, right? Yeah, it's good. You want to stick to halal, you don't want to eat haram stuff, not even if there's a doubt, that's a very good thing. But look, I didn't spend, this many years studying houses stuff to figure out if Chick-fil-A is okay for you or not. I'll do it, but there's a lot of other stuff there's some interesting subjects that I think would be good for us to discuss, right? So what I'm saying is, there are so many different subjects there. And it's funny because when I talk to people privately, just when I pass them by, I randomly see them at whatever, Aldi or grocery store getting gas. Even though they have my contact information, they see me at other places, it has to be some random place where they say, oh, by the way, I have some question. If an angel breaks his wudu, do they have to redo their salam? Like, what are you talking about? Where did that come from? So sometimes people, they have these questions just piled up and piled up and piled up. Again, it's good to be curious even about weird questions like that. Like, okay, but what I tell people practically, hey, just write down your stuff, like whatever, open your phone, note down, even if it's a random idea that comes to your mind, type it out, write it down, email me, WhatsApp me, whatever. Just send the question. It's good that you get it taken care of, right? It's better to ask than not ask. Even if it's a kind of laughable question, it's okay. It's better that you ask it than not ask it. And yes, you want to ask the food-related stuff? Go ahead. You want to ask for an istikhara? Go ahead. But remember, are these the kind of things that are going to prepare us for the Imam of the time? Is the Imam going to come back and say, look, you guys, I saw you all ate Chick-fil-A, but you didn't do the proper research. You guys are not my 313. Is that going to be the criteria? Right? I think the Imam expects better from us, and we should expect better from ourselves as well too. And I think we can do better, and inshallah we will do better together. Let me end this part with one hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. This is in Nahj al-Balagha, khutbah 128, just a part of it at least. Imam is saying, في آخر الزمان يكون زمان الجهل الكثير. In آخر الزمان, يعني what we're living in, there's going to be a lot of jahala, a lot of ignorance. ويكون الناس بعيدين عن إمامهم وعلمائهم. People will be distant from their imam and their ulama. They'll be very, very distant from them. الذين يفهمون الدين في ذلك الزمان. Those ones who have been trusted to try to explain the deen to them that's necessary for them to survive in their time. Right? So they're keeping their distance from them. الذين يثبتون في اتباع العلماء الذين ينقلون تعاليمنا. During this zaman, this time, this type of jahalat, when people will be in shock and doubt, and it will be difficult to survive in a society like this, those who remain steadfast in adherence and sticking to the ulama, those who convey the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, Imam Ali is saying, سَيَكُونُونَ كَالَّذِينَ قَاتُلُوا مَعَ النَّبِي فِي الْمَعَارِكِ. These individuals who have this close connection and relationship and trust with the ulama and that system, they have the same station as those who died along Rasulullah in the various battles that took place. Right? Because it is a jihad to do that. It's a jihad to be able to go and ask questions, to do research, to try to learn. Especially in this society where people are stuck in a rat race, right? 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever it is, right? And there's all these other family duties we have. We have plenty of other sports going on. There's so many activities that are happening. Many people either don't have a chance or it doesn't even occur to them that, maybe I should put some time aside for a bit of Islamic education, some spiritual building, right? Now, I'm not saying sit in a 2-3 hour workshop or a seminar, but 5-10 minutes, or just thinking, hey, maybe one random question in my mind, let me try to get that solved. Simple little steps like this, hopefully, inshallah, will prepare us for the Imam of the time. And in doing so, as we strengthen our relationship with the righteous ulama, hopefully it protects us and does not leave us in a situation where we are like the so-called Muslims during the time of Muslim ibn Aqeel. You see, the individuals, the disobedience to their na'ib was no different than the disobedience of Imam Hussein. Because of their betrayal to Muslim ibn Aqeel, this is where you see when Imam Sajjad and Bibi Zainab are coming back to Kufa, this is why they can be so vicious towards the people of Kufa. He said, you abandoned not just our Imam, but his deputy too. What's the difference? And we've discussed some of the various sermons that were given in Kufa, and how even the young daughter of Imam Hussein was speaking to them, that you are people of khudan, you're people of betrayal. This is what you people do. Is you claim one thing, you claim this allegiance and bay'ah, you claim wilaya, and then it means nothing. You claim that you have a place of love in your hearts for the Ahlul Bayt and their representatives and those who apply their teachings, but when they come, and you abandon them, and you allow their blood to be spilled. What a difficult picture it is whenever we think about Muslim as he is outside the palace of Ibn Ziyad, and there's people with him, and he's maybe thinking, maybe his hopes are there, that, at this point, maybe we can go rescue Hani, who's been captured at that point. Maybe the Shias are with me, I can go and take him. One by one, because of the propaganda, because of people's weaknesses, they start to abandon him. Maghrib time comes. He makes his way to the masjid. And when he's there, Maghrib begins. There's 10, 20, maybe 30 people. At the end of the Isha, only a handful. They say maybe 10, maybe 18 people. He begins walking throughout the streets now, little by little, out of shame. They can't even tell Muslim to his face that, I'm sorry, I can't support you. They secretly just run away from him. This is the cowardice of people like this. Until at one point in the dark of the night, in these streets of Kufa, where a Muslim is not from there, where he doesn't know where to go now, he's all alone by himself, he just stops and he sits at this doorstep. And this lady, Taw'a, comes out, this kind and gentle lady, and sees this gharib Muslim, offers him some water. He has this drink of water and complains to her about the ordeal and how he's been betrayed. And Taw'a sympathizes with him, as she was one of the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, and secretly allows him to stay there with him, but reminds him and warns him that my son is not one of us. My son is not a supporter of our Imam. So we have to keep this very secret. But of course, as all of you know, the son does find out. And the son informs Ibn Ziyad. The soldiers come. They surround the house. They surround Muslim. He puts up a valiant fight. He's a member of Bani Hashim. But he succumbs to his wounds at that point. He's captured. As he's taken and he's brought before Ibn Ziyad, and he begins to make his final requests, initially he sees some water there. And he says, can I have some water before you end my life? And they say, fine, we can give you some water. And as Muslim takes that cup, because his lip was cut, every time he would try to take a sip, a drop of blood would come from that cut, that broken lip, and would fall down into that cup of water. And every time that happened, they would get him another cup. And over again, this cup would keep becoming najis over and over again. Until one point, the final time, they say because of the damage, the strike that was given to him in his mouth, even his teeth fell into this cup of water. This is how hard they had struck Muslim. And he realized now that I cannot escape the qada of Allah. He says, Allah has willed that I die in a state of thirst. Little does Muslim know that Allah wants him to die in the same state as his Imam. This is a gift from Allah to Muslim for him to become shaheed in a state of atshan, to be thirsty like his Imam. When he gives his other request to pay off his debts, that is agreed to. And then finally, his request is, before you go and take me to be executed, my final request is that I have sent a letter before to my Imam and told them that the people of Kufa are ones that will support him. I've told them that the Ahl Kufa are ready to accept him. But now I have learned that the people of Kufa are not true Muslims. They are not true supporters. They are betrayers. They have done khiyanat to the Imam. Let me write a letter to my Imam and tell him, do not come to Kufa. Stay where you are and stay very far from the people of Kufa. على لعنة الله على قوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد.
راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے کوفے میں سر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے کوفے میں سر مسلم، روتے تھے شہ عالم تھے سارے محاسن تم، روتے تھے شہ عالم تھے سارے محاسن تم، کہتے تھے حرم سے ہم ہیں نوغر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے وا حضرت وا دردہ قسمت میں یہ لکھا تھا، وا حسرت وا دردہ قسمت میں یہ لکھا تھا، یہ داغ دکھائیں گے مجھ کو سفر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے ہے دل کو برا رونا مظلوم کی بیوہ کا، ہے دل کو برا رونا مظلوم کی بیوہ کا، کس طرح سناؤں گا اس کو خبر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے کوفے میں جو جائیں گے سن سن جو یہ پائیں گے، کوفے میں جو جائیں گے سن سن جو یہ پائیں گے، کیا حال بتائیں گے نور نظر مسلم، راستے میں سنی شہ نے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے کوفے میں ثابت تھا محبت میں فرق آیا نہ ہمت میں، ثابت تھا محبت میں فرق آیا نہ ہمت میں، سر دے دیا الفت میں، تھا یہ جگر مسلم، رستے میں سنی شہنے دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے سب خلق دگا پر تھی، آمادہ جفا پر تھی، سب خلق دگا پر تھی، آمادہ جفا پر تھی، ہر وقت خدا پر تھی، لیکن نظر مسلم، رستے میں سنی شہنے جس دم خبر مسلم، نے کے کٹا تن سے دل خون جو ہوتا ہے، غم ہوش جو ہوتا ہے، دل خون جو ہوتا ہے، غم ہوش جو ہوتا ہے، ہر ایک پہ ہوتا ہے شوکت اثر مسلم، رستے میں سنی شہنے جس دم خبر مسلم، یعنی کہ کٹا تن سے کوفے مومنوں کر لو بکا، ماتم شبیر ہے، زینب دلگیر ہے، مومنوں کر لو بکا، ماتم شبیر ہے، دلگیر ہے، اپنا بدن پاش پاش، کاندھے پہ اکبر کی لاش، منصفو دیکھو تو کیا حالت شبیر ہے، زینب دلگیر ہے، مومنوں کر لو بکا، ماتم شبیر ہے، پیر ہے، سید سجاد کا نوحہ یہ مقتل میں تھا، ہاتھوں میں ہتھ کریا ہے، پاؤں میں زنجیر ہے، زینب دلگیر ہے، مومنوں کر لو بکا، ماتم شبیر ہے، زینب دلگیر ہے، مومنوں کر لو بکا، ماتم شبیر ہے، زینب دلگیر۔ الفاتحہ۔
السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیکہ یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا ابن امیر المومنین ابن سید الوسید، السلام علیکہ یا ابن فاطمۃ الزہراء سیدتی نساء العالمین، السلام علی الحسین وعلی علی ابن الحسین وعلی اولاد الحسین وعلی اصحاب الحسین جمیعاً ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔ السلام علیکہ یا مولایا و مولا، السلام علیکہ یا غریب الغرباء، سلطان ابو الحسن مولانا علی ابن موسیٰ رضا، کن شفیعنا و شفیع والدینا فی یوم الجزاء ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔ السلام علیکہ یا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام علیکہ یا خلیفۃ الرحمن، السلام علیکہ یا شریک القرآن، السلام علیکہ یا کعبۃ الایمان، السلام علیکہ یا امام الانس والجان، عجل اللہ فرجک وسخر اللہ مخرجک وظہورک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔
اللهم محمد وآل محمد اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برعايتك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.